Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is the Warrior Ritual V3i. It's behind here, but if you don't trust me, it's also right here, and the cool shaft shape goalie stick review. So first of all, huge thanks to Warrior for sending me this stick so I can make content on, use it, and make a review on it. They also sent me the M2i that I reviewed previously and used until it broke, and they also sent me this one as well. So huge thanks to them for that. If this review and any of my reviews of Warrior gear are helpful, please reach out to them on social media. Let them know, like on Instagram or TikTok, say Hockey Reviews review is really helpful, help me make a purchase, or help me get specs down type thing. It'd be greatly appreciated. Lets them know them doing this is useful and it really helps out customers as well as me. So it'd be greatly appreciated. For this review, I didn't plan on doing this review at this moment. I want to do it in the off season so I could show off the shooting with this stick because I absolutely love it, which we'll get to in a second. But unfortunately, my teammate crashed into me today on a 2-on-1 when they were trying to break up a pass, which they did, but their skates went into my stick and folded underneath me, and this is the end result, which is extremely unfortunate. There was no issues at the bottom of the stick when I was actually using it. There is some wear points on it, which we'll talk about, but I have to call out right away, this break point right here had nothing to do with actual pucks or just usage. It was 100% my teammate, and it's kind of on that weird shape where if it did not just get like stuck between legs, kind of pushed backwards like this, it would have broken usually the other way, so it would crack and then go that way. That wasn't a puck, wasn't something you'd expect for durability. Unfortunately, someone's body kind of crashing into it, and this unfortunately happens to me more often than not. So before we begin the review and everything, this stick has a very interesting shaft shape. Warrior has done it on the M2i as well, and now it's on the 3i. If you have used this shaft shape and have experiences with it, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know how it has been for durability. I will talk about this in the review, but I'd like to hear feedback from other people as well. So please leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on it and what your experiences are on it, and share that news to the world. Now, to get this out of the way really quickly, I am not going to talk about weight for this stick just because I find too many people are always worried about numbers and they keep asking about what's the weight, what's the weight, what's the weight. I will say this is kind of their special edition, lightweight edition. It's the I version, like we had the 2i right there. This is the 3i, obviously. So the thing about it for the weight, it's really lightweight. It's one of the lower ones on there. It's not the lowest like some of those true ones that came out, but it's pretty close. And the balance on it is absolutely fantastic, and I really love it. This is actually my favorite stick to use for balance, as well as hand grip, which I'll talk about in a second. But just the balance of this thing felt really, really good. It felt a lot lighter and kind of played lighter than some sticks that might have a lower weight. Like my True, for example, when I was using this one, it felt a lot more controlled. I felt like I knew exactly where the stick was at all times. And if I tried to bat pucks out of the air, it was easier with this one than it was the True. And obviously I put this paddle wedge on all my stuff to protect my index finger. That adds a bit of weight as well, but it's not a big thing. But it kind of points out of how this little bit is probably like 20 grams doesn't really make a big difference in the grand scheme of things, so it doesn't really matter all that much either. I've had people ask me over and over again of what socks I always recommend, and I've been using Cutshield for a while now. I have multiple stuff for them. So Cutshield is a company out of Canada that makes cut resistant socks, and these are their Pro Air 6, which means it's an ANSI level 6 for cut resistance on here. Full review of it up there so you can check it out. But I now have a coupon code with Cutshield, so if you want to support the channel, you can check out the link in the description to Cutshield, buy some socks, which I think are honestly one of the better socks on the market. I absolutely love them. They're pretty thin and they are cut resistant and they're not too hot either. Use my coupon code, you get 25% off, and it helps support the channel. So another thing I want to call out about this stick, and I called out about Warrior sticks in the past, this is a 26-inch Warrior stick, but it actually plays like a 25-inch everything else. So my True there is a 25. This one plays the exact same. I had Bauer 26s in the past, and this one played smaller than the Bauer 26. So going forward after this stick, so this is the V3i. So the stick after this, I think it's going to be the M3, will have the same consistent sizing compared to other companies. So this will say a 26 and it will play like a Bauer and a CCM and a True 26. If it says 25, it will play like that 25. So Warrior actually did this as a consistent sizing from in the past for how sticks were measured, and everyone else kind of went their own way with it because Bauer did switch like probably 10 years ago. So Warrior kind of was consistent through all that. Everyone else kind of switched, got really confusing. Warrior realized people were really confused about that. I have a post pinned on my Instagram going over it. So this thing will be sized differently going forward. But for this one right here, it says a 26, but really it plays like a 25. And that is what I was expecting and kind of knew, so it was fine. Obviously, this is not important whatsoever, but I do want to call out the graphics on this because I think it looks absolutely stunning. This is the kind of that rainbow chrome graphic that is going on gear a lot now, and you can see it right here. You can see it also right here. It looks so good in here. And unfortunately, I have that paddle wedge on, so it's kind of covering some things, but that looks so awesome throughout the stick. It just looks so good, as well as with that textured behind it for the carbon. It just looks really good all around. And I really, really liked the look of this stick. The interesting thing I think with this kind of rainbow chrome effect, it's not over the top. There are a lot of this chrome looking sticks coming out. Warrior's next covert stick is the same thing, but like Bauer has it on a bunch of their sticks. This isn't over the top. It's kind of understated almost compared to some of those other ones, and I think it just looks absolutely fantastic. So I was a really big fan of that and really enjoyed using it. So going on to tech specs on this a little bit, this stick is pretty interesting compared to the M2i because they changed a few things on here and they have a few features I really like on it. One, this entire finish on this stick had kind of a feeling to it. So that was a press. When they press the carbon fiber, it's on the blades of a lot of sticks. So if you have player blades, most companies will have that kind of texture on there, including Warrior, and it is kind of just how the process is created. So that is really cool how it had that texture all throughout it, but that is completely different than what is on this stick. So this stick has that gloss finish on it that you kind of expect from most company sticks, to be honest, and it is going through all there. So the other really interesting thing to me on this stick is this carbon is Minimus 25, which is kind of shown off right here. So that's the idea behind it, is like the K carbon, and that is the Minimus ones without the UD. So that is going through all through here. So you can see these bigger square checkered pattern going through it, and that kind of carbon fiber is more durable than using a UD. UD doesn't have a strength kind of across it all ways, only in one direction. Warrior was using UD on their sticks previously for player sticks. They moved to that Minimus 25 going forward, which I think is a great move. But the interesting thing here is this shaft is actually Minimus carbon UD. So you can see it right there. So this whole shaft, it's really hard to see on it, but it is a UD carbon fiber through it. And I specifically asked Warrior why they went this route, using their Minimus and the checkerboard pattern down here, like a normal weave, and then using UD up here. And the reason is because of this awesome shaft shape. So you can see, just like the M2i, which I love so much, it has this very unique shaft shape, and I'm not going to go into full details on here. If you want to see me talk about the shaft shape, check out the link up there to the review of that M2i. I'm not going to jump into it again here because it's just rehashing that information about how you can grip it better, and I do love that. So this shaft shape right here that is very unique and not really symmetrical at all, has a very like flat back here, it gets skinnier, totally rounded off right here. This is easier to do with UD than it is with the checkerboard pattern. So that is why they kept the shaft itself UD. Now I had some questions on that. Well, what's the durability on that? Is it going to be worse? And I had no issues with this stick or this M2i. There is like paint chipping on it, but the actual shaft itself held up totally fine to hard shots and wasn't the point of failure on this stick. Had no issues whatsoever on it, and there was a ton of damage to it and use to it. And you can see the paint chipping on it, and it just held up really well. And I'm a really big fan of this stick and that shaft shape. The other awesome piece on this stick that I absolutely love is this slide grip. So I have problems with grips that I talk about over and over again. I have a video going over how to remove grips on goalie stick, and grips like this true one where it is really kind of sprayed on grippy material, and you can see how it kind of just stops there, and it's just way too grippy. When I use blockers like this where it has Gen Pro binding through it for more durability and not just nylon, because the nylon will wear out, which you can kind of see up here, this Gen Pro binding sticks too much on those grip sticks and shafts. Warrior uses a grip that is less grippy on this than other companies, and it's fantastic. It is also part of their slide grip. So this is all textured, so you can really feel it when you're sliding your hand up and down, which I absolutely love. It was slightly different on the more traditional shaft shapes where it actually had kind of ribs going up it, so you could really feel it. It was fantastic. But this textured, which you can see through it, really feels awesome on the hands. You can really feel it sliding up and down, and it doesn't interfere with any blockers I've ever used. So this is basically my go-to stick because of that, because the true one definitely gets caught on gloves and I can't use it, where this one hand slides up and down really well, and I'm a huge fan of this design. It's one of my favorite things. The next tech piece on here that makes me very happy is this Vibex equipped vibration dampening system. So this was a thing that was always on the V lines, and it was not on the M lines. And this is one of the things that I didn't like that much on this M line compared to the V line. This just helps dampen vibrations in the stick itself. So when you feel those hard shots and like kind of jams on your stick, this helps dampen that feel, and it's more dampened overall. I love dampened player blades, so me having this, so less vibrations going through it, makes me enjoy the stick a lot more than if it didn't have this. And I actually asked Warrior if Vibex was possible on the M2i because I liked it so much. It's like, well, just wait. And then this one came out and it had it, and it made me happy. So really happy this is an option. It really gives you two different options with stick family companies to see which one you like more. The non-V line, so the M line, will have more of that traditional feeling compared to other companies, where this one will be a little bit more dampened, which I'm a huge fan of. Also, speaking of dampening, since this is open, you can see the foam core inside of here and kind of the construction of this. And that foam core is also going to be helping out with dampening. That is pretty consistent on most carbon sticks though. They do have that foam interior to help dampening and for structure on the actual stick itself. But kind of interesting how it doesn't have any like inner ribs or anything for structure. It's just on the outside. And I've never really had a problem with Warrior sticks across the face ever. All of my things have been either players breaking them or the blades have gone after playing for like a couple seasons. But I want to show that off because that is part of the vibration and dampening part in the stick as well. So another thing that's different on this M compared to the V line, the M one had a total flat face, so you can kind of see looking here, so that is a total flat where it gets rounded up here, but this part right here is flat, and then it had their interesting shape on the back here. This is supposed to be to help with the kick point, so it's a lower kick stick. Now this one is their kind of mid kick stick, if you will, and the shape of it is more traditional, so you can see how it is more rounded on there. Obviously it gets bigger where you hold it and where the shaft is right here, but it gets smaller, but it's still rounded and more traditional shape throughout the whole thing without kind of any interesting back pieces here. So for shooting on the stick, it just felt really solid. It didn't really feel like that low like that one kind of feels like. For goalie sticks, I find that kick is kind of harder to notice compared to player sticks, but with this stick, I love shooting it. One big reason is because of the shaft shape though. I just find I can grip the stick easier with this, whether it be my top hand. Sliding especially is really good because you can slide up and you really know where your hand's going and just feels a lot more controlled. I found it really easy to kind of grip right here with my catching glove to really grab it, and I have also found that with that, shooting and passing has become more controllable and better. Shooting on this is probably one of my favorite sticks, but really I'm not an amazing puck handler, and for me it's more of wherever the puck goes on the blade and how you kind of flick it through it that make it a better shot for me. Like, I'm just not a great puck shooter, so I can't say all that much about it, but I want to say this: whatever Warrior has started doing with their blades, I have noticed it a lot on this. So I talk about this a lot in player sticks, where it's way easier to do sauce passing with Bauer sticks because of the heel construction. It's just easier to get the puck up and controllable. So this is a true stick. That is the 9x3. This is the Warrior. And the thing I noticed the most of these is it's so much easier for me to make little tiny sauce passes with the Warrior than it is with the True. So these are both comparable curves. They're slightly different, but just having the puck just anywhere on here with the Warrior, it was a lot easier to kind of get up, a little chippy, and even backhands too. I was doing some backhand saucing it a little bit, just lifting up off the ice, where this one was a lot harder to control, and I didn't have as great as a shot with it as well, but just getting the puck off or passing and kind of putting it over people's stick was a lot harder on this one than it was on the Warrior. So I'm a huge fan of whatever Warrior has done on here. I have found I didn't have great success in the past with Warrior sticks on this. I found my Bauers I always did really good on. Compared to the Warriors, I had my Hyperlight 1 that I thought was better, and the 2S Pro I thought was better. But with this, something on here, and it really feels like this blade is smaller here, really helps with saucing that and kind of getting the puck in the air. Unfortunately, this stick has no future, so I can't actually show that off and kind of show the puck passing a little bit on here, which is unfortunate, but I did find this blade worked really well for it, and I'm a huge fan of whatever Warrior did on there. And you want to support the channel, and you need a base layer and a protective, kind of supportive base layer that helps protect your growing as well as your hips. Check out the Cortec. This is the Pro 1.0 pant, so this one is not quite as restrictive, and this is kind of tight right here in this X pattern. You might have seen these as Under Armour before, or Bauer for the hockey specific ones. There's also the Core 3.0, which is a lot stiffer, as you can see. Really helps protect my growing and keeping it kind of in place and make sure it doesn't overstretch itself. There's a discount code, and you click the link in the description. Use that discount code to get a discount off, help support myself, as well as get you some pretty awesome base layer pants that really do help with injury prevention and help stabilize your core while playing. So now for durability, which is obviously the point of this is broken. But again, can't blame Warrior on this because my teammate crashed into me. And there's nothing you can do with that. If someone falls on your stick, could be a brand new, perfectly constructed stick, and someone falls on it, they're going to fall on it and break it. I will show off all the other wear on it though for durability, and we'll look kind of through here. You can see a lot of chipping up here. This is all just paint chips though. This isn't actually carbon chips where you will get like a sliver touching it. It's all just finished chips for paint. So it's totally fine all the way up here. And I was taking shots off this quite a bit, and everything is totally good. I haven't seen one of these top pieces break. I'm sure people have. I haven't seen one and I haven't used one, and this is now 2 sticks where I've had 0 issues with anything up here. So that's pretty surprising and pretty solid. I usually can feel sticks kind of going in the shaft a bit. I have to tape them up so I don't get slivers on them. This one was totally fine. Now this is one of the big spots where, as you can see, the corners really got pushed in. Now this was against a player who has a very hard shot, often scores on me, and he took a slap shot from just inside the blue line. And it just got me right here, as you can see. Just went above my paddle wedge, got right there, didn't jam my fingers because it hit the stick, but you can see the damage that it did on there is pretty substantial, and it's really kind of in there, and the carbon is kind of splintering all around. Now, this happened 2 months ago from this review, and it hasn't gotten worse. I wrapped clear tape through it just so I wouldn't get slivers and get caught on here, and it was totally fine throughout it. And I really flexed down on this with like putting my hand here to try to shoot to see if this was cracking. Everything was totally fine. So this was a very edge part that basically got destroyed on here, as you can see, and the stick is still working totally good. So I got to give credit for that. Yes, you don't want to see the corners and kind of side pieces right here getting broken, but on a slap shot right on the tip where it really did hit right there on the smallest part of the stick, it's still held up, and the actual structural integrity of the stick is totally fine. We go down here as well, and you can see some paint chips and everything, but the rest of it is holding up very, very well until we obviously get to the broken part, which is the broken part, and there's not a whole lot you can do with it. And we look on the back side of the broken part too, you can just kind of see the actual carbon is holding everything together still. So that is all still very durable and totally fine. The tape on here was the exact same tape from day one, and everything is holding up totally fine. And there's absolutely nothing on the heel either. This whole blade is in perfect shape, and I never take the tape off and kind of retape my goalie sticks. I always leave it as is, and everything is holding up perfectly fine. So the only spot really is someone stepping on me here and here, as well as this piece right here, which just obviously crashed in. Obviously, you don't want to see goalie sticks break, and this is obviously a broken goalie stick. But my experiences with this was absolutely fantastic. It is easily my favorite stick I've ever used, more so than the M2i, which I really liked, but I love that Vibex on this a little bit better, and I like the finish on this. It just seemed to be a little bit more durable on it as well. But the shaft shape is fantastic, and I've had excellent experience with Warriors. This thing is an absolute beast. I've taken out to like junior training sessions, and it's been absolutely fantastic. It's a lot heavier, obviously, and it's using that older style of carbon fiber. Hopefully you can see the actual smaller weaves on it, but this thing has been a tank. All of my Warrior sticks, when they've broken, it's been very expected. Sticks are going to break, pucks hitting carbon over and over and over and over and over again. It's going to happen. I play at least 3 times a week as a goalie. Sticks are going to break. Unfortunately, this case was obviously a player, but I would have no issues recommending this to people if they want kind of, I think that one of the leading tech sticks, especially with that shaft and how great it feels, as well as the weight on this is really solid as well. So everything on here is really good. I love what Warrior's doing with this. They're kind of trying something and kind of really pushing things. There's really, I feel, only 2 companies really doing anything interesting in the goalie stick market right now, which is Bauer with their spine and Warrior with this. So everyone else, it seems like they're just trying to go for weight chasing without really doing anything differently. So I'm a huge fan that Warrior is offering an I version of the V line and not just the M line, and I like it a lot, as you can tell. Now the thing is, these sticks are extremely expensive. If I had to pick a stick on the market right now and got it for free and was going to use it and over and over and over again, it would be this stick. Now it is very expensive, so you have to figure out if you want to spend that much money on this stick or not. Personally, if I was spending full pop on a stick, I would go cheaper, just because my game and my shooting isn't that amazing and I don't need to go that high. I would probably stick with their Pro line and not the Pro Plus. They kind of did that in the past, where this one was, like I mentioned, the heavier, slightly cheaper version. I would probably go down to that price point because, like I said, I'm just really price conscious on sticks because I don't have a great shot. Now I will say, the heavier the stick like this one, the harder to knock pucks out of the air, swat pucks away, which is so easy with this thing, and it's so good with it, and it's good with the True too, but this stick has been my favorite by far. It's so much easier doing that, but the price, obviously it's really expensive, so it's kind of hard for me to say, yeah, you need to spend this, when I have a hard time justifying spending that myself. So that's about it for this video. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. Huge thanks to Warrior for sending me this to do content on, to make a video, to use it, and to review it. It is greatly appreciated on my end. Like I mentioned, I generally buy the cheaper sticks if I have to, so getting one of these is greatly appreciated. I can really test out the new tech and see how it is, and I honestly just absolutely love it. So that's a bonus as well. Thank you very much for watching this video. Remember to like this video, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on TikTok and Instagram. Links are in the description. If you want to support support the channel so I can make more content and doing more reviews. And you're buying hockey equipment anyways, check out the links in the description. If you're in Canada, Talk Supremacy. If you're in the US, to Pure Hockey. Clicking those links, making a purchase gives me a kickback so I can keep making more content and do more videos. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel without buying any equipment, you can check out the link in the description to buy me a coffee. Everything through any of these links always comes right back into the channel so I can keep making more content and doing more reviews. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.